Step 1.
Take a curved scud hook, place on a black metal bead, and attach the tying thread at the head of the fly.
Step 2.
Remove a single strand of white sparkle yarn, and then we're going to tie this sparkle yarn in up at the eye of the fly. Sparkle yarn is great. It's a nice soft material that really breathes well in the water and is quite durable.
What does it represent on a fly?
On this particular fly, it represents the prominent white gills common to every species of chironomid when they emerge.
All chironomids have white gills at the head like that?
All chironomid species do. So it's a key feature to imitate.
Step 3.
With the gills in place, we're going to take our whip finisher and place a whip finish onto the hook and trim the tying thread. We want to keep the thread bulk low because we're going to slide the bead over this.
Step 4.
Take our bead, slide it forward, up over the thread, right up to the gills, and then reattach the tying thread directly behind the bead. These curved scud hooks are ideal for chironomids because they really imitate the natural curved comma-like posture of the natural pupa. As well, they're really hook well, and they allow the fly tyer to imitate smaller insects with larger hooks owing to the short overall shank length.
Step 5.
Take a length of fine red holographic mylar and actually insert the mylar into the bead, helps position it and hold it in place. And use the tying thread to bind it down the near side of the hook. Again, we're going to counterwind this rib over the body. This aids in the positioning of the rib when we first wrap it. Carry that tying thread back up the hook shank so it's hanging directly behind the bead.
Step 6.
Next, we're going to take a strand of black flashabou, lay it across the bobbin so it's doubled, hold it in place with the forefinger, and then slide it up off the bobbin tube onto the thread and into position on the hook shank. Once we're happy with the position, we're going to bind it in place and then wind the doubled flashabou down the hook shank to the rib and then back up over the body. Be careful of that hook point. It loves to shred flashabou.
Are these very common colors for chironomids?
Yeah, black is a good overall basis point, especially black and red. It's tried and true and proven throughout the year. I've caught fish in early spring and late fall on black and red chironomids of varying sizes. Very effective coloration to use and a good basis point to start any chironomid fly box. We're just going to tie off that black flashabou directly behind the bead. Place a few additional wraps in front of it to lock it in place. Resist it from pulling it out. Trim off the excess.
Step 7.
Now we're going to take our red holographic mylar, place a few wraps right at the base of the body to suggest a small red butt, and then begin ribbing the body with the red holographic mylar all the way up the body. Again, just getting into a rhythm, a spacing. And it's a very subtle difference between the black and the red, but the fish certainly notice it. It's just a great color combination. Then we're going to tie off the fine red holographic mylar and trim away the excess.
Step 8.
I'm going to take a single strand of peacock herl. I'm going to tie it in by the tips, but the very tip is very brittle, so we're just going to trim away the last 1/8 quarter of an inch. Bind it in place, and then place 2 to 3 wraps directly behind the bead until we cover up our thread work. And then we're going to tie off the peacock herl directly behind the bead and then trim away the excess.
Step 9.
Peacock herl is a fragile material. Coat the tying thread with some brushable super glue, place a few wraps, and allow the thread pressure to flow into the peacock herl to reinforce it.
Step 10.
Take your whip finisher. We're going to whip finish the fly directly behind the bead with a minimum of wraps to avoid building up unnecessary bulk. Trim away the excess tying thread. We're going to take our gills and we're going to gather all the fibers and then trim them so they're about the same length as the bead. It's a good proportional reference point no matter what size chironomid you're tying.
Step 11.
For added durability and shine, coat the completed body with some brushable superglue. The completed Black Sally.
What's a good time to fish this?
Any time of the season.